Let's get busy.
Hey, it's the 23rd of March, but I'm I'm shutting down the Fact Factor or whatever it's called, the Get Fact Thursday.
You're shutting down the bureau.
The bureau. No, I'm shutting down the because I want to. I write an article in the Herald and I want to mine. I want to brainstorm my Herald article here in advance of me writing it, and then place the podcast within the Herald article as additional material. Okay, so I want to use you guys for information. So I'm just going to start off with one fact. Like last week, Mashi, you just did one fact and we bounced off it.
Right? Oh, that's right. That was the St. Paddy's Day special. Yeah, that was fun. Okay, great. Let's do that again.
So I'm going to start off with a fact, but I'm hardly put any work into the fact. This is going to be coffee related, and then I'm going to ask a question. Norwegians drink coffee.
Is that it? Norwegians drink coffee.
A little bit more. They consume on average 5 cups a day.
Norwegians
They
drink
consume on average 5 cups a day.
1.6 billion cups every single day are consumed in Norway, and it's got the same population as New Zealand.
Okay, why are you so focused on Norway and their coffee? Like, what about like a New Zealand coffee fact or something that maybe relates to us?
Well, I've got a question about coffee I want to ask you. Why can't I get instant coffee in cafes? What if people like me that enjoy an instant coffee, why can we not enjoy the cafe environment with an instant coffee? Why does it have to be a bloody flat white? Why does it have to be a coconut milk macchiato, one shot with half cinnamon and half chocolate?
Well, it doesn't have to be that.
Yeah, but why does it have to be? Why does the coffee have to go through the rigmarole? Like you're a cafe, you're selling coffee. This is your thing. Why are you judging people for wanting to drink an instant coffee?
Okay, well, how much are you going to charge for an instant? I mean, that's the big question, because essentially what you've done is you've put more you heft more into a cup.
Yeah.
And then you put some boiling hot piss on it, and then
piss.
Whatever it is.
Yep, water.
What is it?
Just water.
Water. Not piss?
No, just
Water.
Yep.
So you put the water in, and then you chuck some cow lactate crap on it.
Yeah.
And then
milk.
Yeah, milk. And then how much are you going to charge for that?
Well, okay, what I would say is there's two. I've thought about this quite extensively. When you go to a cafe, you're paying for the environment. You're paying to sit around a table, to talk. So it's not all just the cost of the coffee. You're paying for the atmosphere you get in a cafe, and we all love. How much do we love a cafe environment in New Zealand? We love it. We just love it.
So good, isn't it?
But I have worked out, I've done the math on it, that it takes, let's go to a flat white. I don't know why we drink flat whites. I don't know why New Zealand is so excited about flat whites. It's just basically warm baby's milk. It's like this warm milk for adults.
Okay.
Yeah,
anyway. I'll tell you why.
Why?
Texture.
Yeah, no, let's not get into that. I understand the texture. But
texture.
Can you put a pin in that and we'll come back to your texture, okay, in a second?
The texture, thank you.
It'll take 16.666 repeater percentage of the time to make an instant coffee than it takes to make the average flat white. When you take into account having to steam the milk, right?
Yeah.
So if you're running a zip on the wall or one of those boiling hot taps, then you can make a instant coffee in 16.66% of the time. So as a barista, you should be happy with that. If say 20% of the people are coming through and ordering an instant coffee at your cafe, you don't have to go and then hand the coffee. You're just
don't do that.
You're just like there you go. And so if I'm willing to pay $4, let's say let's price point here.
$4
for an instant, yeah.
What?
$4
For the atmosphere.
$4.
No.
I'll pay $4
That's the price of a
$4?
cheap espresso coffee.
for the atmosphere.
Yeah, well, this is a man with 2 bathrooms and three
Oh, yeah.
what is it called? Hot water cylinders.
Coming from a guy that runs a highly secured routing facility, that's
I
rich.
don't run a highly secured routing facility. Let me state
With
that.
an-
Are we
with-
going to get back into this again?
with an Nespresso in it.
I do not. Firstly, if I did run a highly secured routing facility, and
Here we go.
let's just say I don't run a highly secured.
Let's just define what that is. Some people that have been in a relationship for a very long time and have quite a lot of money, have multiple media jobs, whatever, but earn quite a lot of money, they will buy an apartment building in town, and it's normally a couple of floors up, and they'll have, at least you want to be off ground level, and you'll run a code on the door that it's the partner may think it's a rental that's just on their family's books and part of their sort of portfolio, and a member of the family, often maybe sometimes as a male member of the family, will say things like, that's a rental. I'll give you the code to the door so you can have a look at it. And then when they try the code, it's different. And they say, well, that bloody property manager keeps changing the code. Sorry, I'll sort that out. And then maybe they ask why there's no rent coming in. And then it turns out what you're running is a highly secured renting facility.
You seem to know a lot about this highly secured renting facility situation.
An HSRF.
Yeah, and as a man that's running multiple dwellings,
I don't run
you seem to know a lot about an
I don't know anything about
HSRF.
it. Yeah. But anyway, to go back to your point, so you think 450 is too much of a
$450.
Yeah, it's too much.
too much of a price
Mate,
point?
that's
Yeah.
too much.
Well, I have
But
a
for the atmosphere?
question on this similar thing. Is in diners in America, they run a
Filter
plunger
coffee.
or a filter? That's
Filter
a filter.
coffee. I
And
love
how
filter
much is
coffee.
that? Is that
It's
how-
bottomless.
It's normally like a $2 refill type
Yeah,
situation,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super cheap.
They kind of throw coffee away in the States, don't they? Like here, we do a whole song and dance about it. Like the coffee is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And a diner in the States, the coffee just comes. It just goes.
Because
It's
they,
just caffeine.
if they can keep you there longer, if she keeps on coming round, filling it up, you might get another milkshake, another side of waffles,
Yeah.
right? Isn't that how it works? Because
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are spending money on food.
Yep.
So I
think
got a
that's what it's
question. I got a question for you guys. Have you ever been to a cafe
for.
in New Zealand?
Have I been to a cafe in
No,
New Zealand?
let me finish the question.
Of course,
Okay.
we've been to a cafe in New Zealand.
Have you ever been to a cafe in New Zealand?
Yes, we have.
Could you let me finish?
Well, like,
Could you
of
put
course
it?
we've been to a cafe in New Zealand.
Okay, I'm going to ask the question of Mash now.
I'm just trying to think if I have been to a cafe. in
Well,
New
let me
Zealand.
finish the question.
Oh, all right, sorry.
Cash? Is his name Cash? Mashy.
Cash is kind of cooler, actually.
Okay, I'm going back to Jerry. Because I've forgotten your name, Mash. Jeremy.
Yes.
Just wait till the end of the question. I'll go up at the end so you know when I'm finished, okay?
Yep.
Have you ever been to a cafe in New Zealand? Damn.
Yes.
Where they sell instant... where they
Yes,
sell
I have been to a cafe.
cafe in New Zealand where they sell instant coffee.
No,
Why? Why don't
no,
they?
I haven't.
What are they hiding? Are they trying... Is it the big secret? What are they hiding?
But I do remember cafes, but they were called tea rooms or
Yeah.
coffee
Mm.
Oh, shouldn't have
houses
tea
back
rooms.
in
Yeah.
the day.
And did they sell instant coffee?
They sold a particular type of Kona filter coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
And the whole place smelt. It
Yeah.
smelt so cool. And they had those cabinets
Mm.
that were fake wood with the plastic things that you lift up and then push back.
Yeah.
And then inside of the cabinets were oftentimes ham sandwiches, but with maybe a damp tea towel on the top of it. And so you'd lift up the damp tea towel and
Curled
then
corners on those ham sandwiches?
oh shit no, because they had the tea towel on the top, so they were moist.
Oh.
And then they often ran a pie. Actually, the pie one was a little bit closer.
What
Okay,
about any
but-
curried egg, like any curried egg sandwiches or anything
Ooh.
like that?
Ooh,
What about a raspberry slice, anything like
yeah,
that?
raspberry slice.
Yeah, beautiful mint
Yeah.
slice.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Now we're talking.
Tea,
Yeah.
tea rooms still exist though, right?
Very few.
Not
Because
many.
I was going to say, I think I went to one in Hokitika that had instant coffee once.
Wow.
Mm.
But apart from that, never.
Actually, do you know what? This has just reminded me of something. Yes, I have been to a place that had instant coffee.
Really?
Oh my God, I have. I once went out with this friend of mine who was.
Can you tell it a little less like a nursery rhyme, please?
I once went out with this friend of mine in Wellington, and he was a Wellington local.
Was any of them Little Red Riding Hood? The way you're speaking? Did you run into a wolf?
Can't remember the story of Little Red Riding. What happened in that story?
Did you?
She
She goes out to get grandma some food, and then the wolf
Has eaten.
tries and F's her up.
Yeah, because the wolf has eaten the grandma,
Oh, that's right.
and then the
oh,
wolf
and he's in
dresses
bed.
up.
Yes.
The wolf dresses up as grandma.
Any,
That's right.
Any dwarfs in this?
Then what
7 of them?
happens? Do they make love?
No, that's Snow White. That situation you're thinking about.
Okay,
there.
so,
So I
anyway,
was out in Wellington with a friend, and he used to operate in, let's just say, the underground parts of Wellington, which are quite interesting, the underground parts of Wellington. I found out later.
what do you mean the underground, like the sewers?
Not the sewers, more speakeasies and
Oh.
old school stuff. And this is in the late 90s. So me and the old Havo went out. we were going to the New Zealand Fashion Awards, and we gave an award away at the New Zealand Fashion Awards, and both of us decided that our dates, we would take the largest women that we could possibly take to the New Zealand Fashion Awards, and they were our dates. And so we hired what were called in the day fatograms. This is in the 90s. You
It's
got to
highly
remember.
problematic.
Oh,
I know,
gosh.
but this is just how it worked. This is historic. I can't do anything about
Have we got a
this.
cancel button? Can we cancel?
I can't do anything about this. So we hired these two women, and they dressed in like bikinis, and they came with us to the New Zealand Fashion Awards,
Yes.
and they were our dates. And we then gave this award away. Anyway, the night went on. It was a great night.
Nice people.
Lovely people. Lovely people.
Were they prozzies?
No.
Oh.
No, they weren't. They were kind of like actors, sort of.
Okay, right.
Anyway, afterwards, we went out with a friend, and one thing led to another. We got really wasted, and ended up, everything shut down. And then my friend said, "You know what? I know this place that we can go to, and you got to knock on a door. It was in Courtney Place. You got to knock on a door, and then you get let into this room, and it's like a speakeasy.
Was it like a special knock, like a?
You knock, and then the person
Oh yeah.
pulled a little slit in the
No.
thing and looked at you,
I mean that's
and
happening.
either they knew you or they didn't, or if they liked you, they let you in. So anyway, we knocked on this door, weird door in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Courtney Place, but in the middle didn't look like anything. This shutter comes across, and this person looks at it, and then they said, "Oh, g'day," Terry was actually the guy's name. "G'day, Terry." And then we went in. So we went into this room, and in this room was like a kitchen of someone's flat, but it was just a room, and there were these Formica tables, and the main people that were frequenting this place were members of the trans community. In fact, I'd say sort of 80% of the people in there were trans, and us, and the offerings of food and beverage that you could order, no FPOS or cash, was toasted sandwiches,
Oh, hang on.
instant coffee.
What were you playing with? Were you playing with gold bullion? What? There was no FPOS or cash. You were writing checks.
No, it was just cash. It was just, sorry, did I say no cash? I meant no,
Oh, okay.
only cash, cash
Okay.
only.
Oh,
Cash only,
right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Sorry,
Cool,
sorry.
cool, cool, cool.
Toasted sandwiches was the food offering, and the trans person would make you this. Instant coffee, cups of tea, and bourbon and coke. No, rum and coke.
Wow.
In a mug
All of that together in
with
one mug.
no ice.
Oh, that's a crime.
Those were the only offerings at this place.
Wow.
But it was quite popular. There were probably about 20 people in it. It wasn't big. It was probably the size of the studio.
So it sounds like with all that was going on there, the thing that amazed you most about that was that they were selling instant coffee.
Instant coffee.
So I think,
And
this
I
is
remember how much it was.
this is an example.
Everything was $2.
This is an example of your example proving my rule. Because that is a lot going on. It's after hours, you're knocking on the door, it's in the Wellington Underground, someone's sliding a thing across. That's the level of organisation you have to have, or the level of establishment that we're operating here where you would get an instant coffee. And like you can say, like at the golf club, there'll be instant coffee in the corner, you know what I mean? Like that's a totally different thing, RSAs, all that kind of stuff. It's generally self-service
And it's free.
and it's free. I'm talking about going into, what's your favourite cafe, Jerry?
My favourite cafe is probably Daily Bread on Ponsonby Road.
Okay, so you go into Daily Bread on Ponsonby Road, and they've got flat white, they've got long black, they've got latte. Flat white and latte are exactly the same thing, though, so I don't know why we separate that on a menu. It's embarrassing that people want to drink that much warm milk, but I'm not going to go into that. That's a different issue. Can we put a pin in that, Mashy?
Yeah,
Come back to that.
Pins inserted.
And then red ribbon roast at the bottom.
Does it have to be Greg's Red Ribbon Roast?
It could be Marcona classic freeze-dried coffee.
What
Sure,
about
it
a
could be a
Jed's?
Could be a Jed's number 3.
If it's Jed's, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I'm not going anywhere near that establishment.
What about a Jed's instant freeze-dried coffee number 3? Power. Flavour.
Number 3,
You
Jed's
can't
number
say
3.
Number 3, mate.
Can't say number 3?
No, not when it comes
Oh.
to. Can we take a break and we'll just come back to
Okay.
what
Yeah.
instant coffee you'd like?
I'd rather drink a number 3 than Jed's, to be honest.
Oh, yuck.
I would.
What about a Jed's teabag plunge?
Who's teabagging who?
Jed's.
Jed.
Some,
They do
Jed
tea bags.
teabagged me. I'd rather that than drink his coffee.
No, Jed's is quite popular for tea bags, like coffee tea
okay,
bags.
that's
Oh,
not
yeah,
the
those
issue. Maybe
bags,
it's a
yeah.
Greg's granulated instant coffee rich roast. Doesn't matter what it is.
Okay.
The instant coffee will go between whoever's the supplier, like all coffee places. Some of them are Atomic Cafes. You know, some of them are Robert Harris. Their suppliers unimportant. But why, in Jesus' name, can you not get an instant coffee? Because that's one of the types of coffee that exists in this world.
Yeah.
You go to a freaking cafe. Why, even in the name of completeness, do they not have the opportunity for you to have a Moccona Classic freeze-dried coffee?
Would you drink bushels?
Bushels?
Bushels.
What do bushels do? Do they do the red ribbon roast? No, that's Greg's. Who
That's
does-
Greg's, yeah. What about Nestle Original?
Yep, I'd go Nestle Original.
Nestle.
Maddie-
Nestle Classic. What's
Oh,
the
Classic.
Nestle?
Oh,
I think
yeah,
Nestle's
that's
just...
Cafe Gold or something, right?
Nestle. Yeah, Nestle's Gold. no?
Maddie, when you're getting this instant coffee, hypothetically, if a cafe was offering it, would you want them to froth the milk? Or, because you don't like milk in the first place.
Nah, milk is for like carbs and babies.
But
Like-
say
Yeah, I see what
say
you're saying.
you hypothetically were someone that wants milk in your coffee. Would it be a dash of milk poured in from the bottle like we do here at work? Or would it be that the barista steams it up for you?
I reckon you just want it as God intended, with just a little dash in there. I mean, not a bowl. You're not a cat.
Would it be served out of one of those community or school kitchen mugs which are frosted brown? You know, the old style, you know, the mugs that I'm talking about that
Oh,
you get
yeah.
at the community centre?
Those were the mugs that they were using at the speakeasy that I went to.
Because that's what I would be wanting if I was paying
Arkwright.
$4.
Arkwright
Arkwright.
from Open All Hours.
Yeah, Arkwright's coffee.
Were the big women still with you when you went into the speakeasy?
No,
Right. Okay. I was just
No.
going to wonder what they ordered.
Mm.
but I can also tell you that the old Havo passed out in that particular
Oh.
speakeasy.
Actually, out of all those options, who was drinking what? Were most people having rum and cokes, or were people munching down on a toasty?
It was impossible to tell because the mugs,
Oh.
you couldn't see whether it was a rum and coke, a coffee, or a cup of tea. I like it.
I think we need to put a pin in your speakeasy. And
I wonder if it still exists.
I want to put a pin in your speakeasy, and I want to just go back to the basic question I'm trying to ask here, and I feel like we're getting off topic.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what cup it is, and that is interesting. We can go into that later.
Mm-hmm.
My point is why no one's answered this. If I'm willing to pay the money for the cafe environment, and I just happen to be a person with, maybe you'd say I'm a plebeian tastes. Maybe I have, I don't have the palate.
Oh, yeah, 100% true. You do not have a. You're a terrible palate.
Yeah, I don't have the palate for refined
Amazing,
things.
you even have taste buds. You can't smell anything.
I mean, my favorite thing's a cheese roll. You know, I have no pretenses to having the correct amount of taste buds. Why, if I'm willing to pay $4 might be too much for a price point, maybe $3, whatever it is. If I'm willing to pay the money, and maybe I'll get the big breakfast. Maybe I'll get the big breakfast at the cafe, and maybe I'll get a smoothie, but I just want to have an instant coffee with it. Why do they not afford me that option?
I think for me personally, it's actually less about the experience and the vibe of the cafe, and it's actually more about having something that I can't have at home.
Mm.
Oh, yes.
And that's why I get an iced latte. That's why I get something different.
Sorry, you get a what?
An iced latte, Jerry. An iced chai.
You.
Oh, so
An
you're...
iced
Oh,
spiced
a
Sean,
dirty
you're-
chai.
You're a wanker.
Yeah, you're a 5-year-old
Excuse me?
wanker.
Excuse me?
You're a
boy?
5-year-old wanker.
I've just opened up about my coffee habits, and you're going to go around and say that.
You're a 5-year-old wanker.
No, wanking's got nothing to do with this. I go to a coffee shop to experience something that I can't make at home, which is an
You can
iced
make- you can
spiced
make that
chai.
at home, if you know what I mean.
When you go to a cafe, you give your order over, and a
Yes.
barista makes proudly,
Yes. A
they
lawyer.
make you a coffee.
Yes.
No, not a barista, a barista.
Okay, sorry.
What
A
would they
barista?
do if someone
What kind
could
of
just...
cafes do you go to where a barrister makes you the coffee?
Fucking books on the
All
wall
right.
and shit.
There's an espresso machine
Yes.
user.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they need to be employed there. And there's
Yeah.
probably tens of thousands of them
Yeah.
employed in the country right now,
Millions.
right?
I mean, they're working in service stations now.
If everyone started ordering an instant coffee,
Yeah.
what are those people going to do?
Great question.
What are those people going to do
Great
for work?
question. I
What's
thought of
All
that
Press
myself
going to do with
before.
all their beans?
Yes.
What's Atomic going to do with all their
Exactly.
beans?
I think that you're creating problems that don't exist. I think there's a very few people in the world that will go for the instant coffee. I don't think it'll. I don't think it'll change anything. If anything, it'll make life better for this lawyer that's working at your cafe, because he can just spend, because it takes 3 minutes to make a bloody flat white. He can make this in 30 seconds. So he's like, I'll make your fancy ass coffee for your pretentious people that come in fedoras and berets and whatever people that order fancy ass coffees order.
I see what you're saying, and I like it for a couple of reasons.
Why not me? What's wrong with me, Mashy? Why don't I get? Why
Where do
doesn't
we
anyone
start?
care about that? with
Where
me?
do we start?
Let me paint a picture for you, and it's a pretty picture. I go out on a Saturday night.
That is a pretty picture.
I wake up on a Sunday morning.
Yes,
I'm hungover.
it's pretty.
The head's feeling a bit foggy. I need to go for a breakfast. What I like about the instant coffee idea is often when I get to the cafe, I want some food and I want something to drink. Quite often, I consider, and I've done it before, is I've ordered 2 drinks. I've ordered a full coffee and like an orange juice or something. I don't want to spend $7 on an ice spice chai. I want to just get a little shitter, like you're saying, to just kind of tickle that caffeine situation that I need, and then
Exactly.
I can pay the money for the orange juice. That's where I like it.
Yeah.
Is it's no longer an entire item; it's just a little bit of a thing.
You're speaking you've articulated exactly what I want to say. Cafes are too coffee focused.
Yeah.
I'm in there for the big breakfast. I'm in there for the hash brown. I want the 2 sausages. I want the fried eggs. I don't want the fried tomato. You can hiff that out. I don't like it.
What about the mushies?
I want the mushies. I want the beans. That's what I want. I don't want a freaking flat white. I'm not a cat. I don't need a bowl of milk, okay? I just want an instant coffee with a tiny little bit of cream in it.
Here's the reason why you're getting what you're getting, and you're getting lots of coffee at cafes, because that's the highest margin that the cafe does.
Yeah.
It's
He-
coffee. Is the best margin on anything. It's
We're
such
taking
a
down big coffee.
great margin.
Yeah. But that's why I'm saying I'm willing to pay for the cafe environment. I'm not asking for any kind of easy path here. I'm not asking for any special treatment. I will pay top dollar, $3.20 for a instant coffee.
That is top dollar.
You cheap.
Well, can I also? It can't be hard for a cafe to just go, okay, I'm just going to put a little bit of a container next to the big coffee machine that has some instant in it, and if someone comes up and says, hey, I'll charge $2.50 for an instant, then why not just shove that in there and give it to them if they're ordering breakfast?
Yeah, well, here's an idea, Einstein.
Don't raise your voice at me.
Bring your own instant and ask for some hot water.
Jesus, that's
Yeah,
the most you thing I've
that's
ever
actually a good
heard.
idea.
Bring your own instant. Like,
You
be
can't
that,
bring
be
your
that wounder that
Order a
turns
cup
up with
of
his own
tea.
instant. Why not?
They bring out the hot water.
Yeah. Just order hot water and say, I've bought my own bushels. And I'll have the big breakfast as well, please. They'll be fine with that.
Why should
Yeah.
I have to make my own food at a cafe?
So I don't like
I've-
like your flat
I've-
whites.
Because you guys haven't got the brain power, no offense.
Okay.
You guys are idiots.
Oh, no.
I've actually had to come, no offense.
quite a lot taken, to be honest with you.
You don't have to. But you guys are so dumb that you haven't thought of the actual argument. It's like European Motors, right? This is why cafes do it. European Motors doesn't sell Suzuki Swifts, does it?
No.
Or the European equivalent of a Suzuki Swift. They want to be selling Bentleys.
Yeah.
Because the mere existence of a Suzuki Swift in the same showroom as a Bentley lowers the value of the Bentley. That's probably it, isn't it? So you're going down and you're going macchiatos, you're going whatever other types of coffees there are, long blacks, whatever. And at the bottom, someone's like Bushell's Red Ribbon Roast or whatever, Greg's Red Ribbon Roast.
Yeah.
Who does the Red Ribbon Roast?
Greg's.
Greg's Red Ribbon Roast. They're like, it lowers the whole. Is that what they're saying? It's like
So-
it's why I'm
It
not
is.
allowed.
Yeah.
It's why I'm not allowed into nightclubs because
Similar in social
They
situations.
only
I
want
was
young
about
hot
to say
people
this.
there.
because no, that's not what I was going to
Because
say.
you're too handsy?
They only want young hot people
Because
there.
you're handsy. Is
Yes,
that
it's because I'm too handsy.
I thought it was because
Young
you were too
hot-
handsy. It was that Dolan's
Handsy
incident.
on the
and you got a
dance
little
floor.
bit-
You get a bit
So what
handsy
you've
on the
got
dance floor.
is you've got all the young hot people. They're the barista coffees, and then
Your
all
Greg's
the
Red
old
Ribbon Roast. Here comes
mates.
Greg's Red Ribbon Roast. It's
They
just
don't
turned
want that
up.
old freeze-dried coffee coming in the door to the nightclub.
see
Would
we
you
say
even say that you're even a coffee?
They don't want a little bowl of warm water coming in.
Dishwasher.
You're an Earl Grey tea. Be honest.
You're a
You're an Earl-
decaf.
No, he's
You're a
literally-
Nobody
decaf
wants
tea.
Earl Grey.
a mug of dishwasher water.
Yeah, they don't
From
want
the
that.
washing the
They don't
dishes.
want the drip tray coming in.
No, but I see what you're saying because it's like me when I was.
Drinks.
They don't want the exactly. That's why. So you see what I'm saying? Like, so that's
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
I'm too drunk to get in as well.
Well, when I was single, I exclusively made sure I didn't go out with any of my hot friends because it was
Yes.
going to cause some problems. Oh, look at the Suzuki Swift coming in behind the Bentley. I don't need that shit in my life. And I see what you're saying, and I understand how that is relevant to the coffee situation. So therefore, if you sold $2 instant coffee, the $7 latte which exists now looks like a piece of like we're getting ripped off.
It's a
Is it
group
seriously
average.
$7?
You can pay $7 for a latte.
Yeah, it's like it's interesting though because it's kind of like that wine list thing. You know how they up the price of the second. This is how you make a lot of margin in a
Oh.
restaurant. So you have the most expensive wine. You only have one bottle of that because no one buys it. Everyone buys the second most expensive, and you massively increase the price of the second one. So it's just below the major price. So people
Shit.
go,
Holy.
oh, that one looks good. It's not the most expensive. It's the second most expensive, even though it's a piece of crap from the supermarket. Boom. It's kind of a similar thing, but reversed
Is-
on that.
Is
I
this
like
a
it.
similar situation to when you go out to a nice restaurant, for example, and you've got your main, you've got your salads, you might be sharing, and you just want a bowl of French fries, but they're too above themselves to have French fries, so they'll either have some weird seasonal vegetables or some boiled spuds or something along those lines. Is this a similar situation that they
It's-
are above
Yes.
an American French fry?
It's like the time I went to the French cafe and asked for them to bring out Waddy's tomato sauce to go with the food.
Oh my gosh, did you seriously do that?
That's
said, "Can I
racist.
get
Did
some-"
you actually do that?
Ooh.
Yeah, well, I just wanted some. There was some.
Racist.
it was
Maddie,
a
it's
piece
the
of meat.
French cafe. It's
Yeah, well, I have tomato sauce on my meat.
Everyone knows Whitlock's is
Ooh.
French.
I should have got the
Whitlocks.
Whitlocks.
Oh, get out with your Whitlocks.
Yeah.
It's the Jeds of
Also,
condiments.
they asked me to take off my Le Specs when I came in the door to the French cafe.
What?
So they already lost their credibility because they didn't know that Le Specs are French.
Can
you
you
sure they're
still
French?
sit on Le Specs and they don't break?
I think so.
That was their big
was that
selling
the
point.
thing back in the
Yeah.
day?
Le Specs, Le Tough. That was the ad.
No.
It was just shots of bums just sitting on.
Isn't it
Because
interesting
those people
because
used to break their
New Zealand
sunglasses
really
all the time.
fell in love with France not long after the Rainbow Warrior bombing. Everyone got into Le Tan,
Oh, Le Tan.
Le
Oh,
Specs.
the tan's not popular anymore.
Le Tan.
No, but I'm
Isn't it?
saying no. But
Bondi
as I'm,
Sands.
but as I'm saying, it was just after the
Yes,
Rainbow
yeah,
Warrior
yeah.
that we forgave the French a lot for attacking a boat in our harbour, and then we're like Le Specs, Le Tan,
Le
the
French cafe.
the French cafe,
Because they're hot.
Do you
French
like
fries.
snails, boys?
I'll
You
go
not a
snail.
fan of snails?
I'll go snail.
Jerry leaves a snail
Go.
trail.
You move like a snail.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Watch him get out of
Okay,
this.
So anyway,
no, you ruined that because that was actually quite an interesting
Just
discussion.
before
and then
we-
you've just ruined it.
you just ruined it. Before we go,
Okay.
how people going on my fact about Norwegian coffee drinkers?
Oh, I have a question.
What was that fact?
Was
for you?
that instant or espresso?
Good question. I don't know. This is coffee in general. Up or down?
I'm going up on that shit.
But as
I'm going down. on that.
I'm going up. Shit fact, but good discussion.
okay. Fine. I'd just like to say I'd like to back up what Jerry said before.
Yeah.
And go
You-
down on your own fact.
No, you ruined it. Mash.
I
You
ruined it.
No, I
You
think
ruined it.
you ruined it.
I reckon Matt ruined it.
You kept on trying to ask a fact you knew the answer to.
And then you made
You were
me feel
asking a
like
question.
then you made me feel like a Suzuki Swift backed up behind a Bentley, and I didn't really feel good about that. So you ruined it. Jerry.
Wow.
And
that's
Jerry
right.
said some incriminating shit about the 90s.
Well, someone ruined it because
You
it was
ruined it.
ruined.
You all ruined it.
Actually, can we come back to the women in the bikinis that you hide? I'd love
No.
at some point.
No.
Put a
Hey,
pin on that.
if you're listening to this podcast, you know you can watch it on YouTube now. Just search Radio Hauraki.
Do you reckon people would watch it if they've already listened to it?
I doubt it.
Can we go back in time, plant a seed at the beginning of the podcast,
Okay,
and say
we'll go
you
back.
could
Can-
watch it?
Can you record this? I'm going to record it now. Can you copy this and put this at the front?
This podcast is now available visually on YouTube. Just search Radio Hauraki and click on this podcast.
Okay.
Is that on
Could
YouTube or
could you
RedTube?
labour that anymore?
Oh, is that on RedTube?
Are we happy with that?
Yeah, we're happy with that.
You ruined it.
I think you ruined it with that thing at the end.
You all ruined it.